Hello and welcome to ENERGYxtra. Today, myself and Louise Purcell are joined by Louise Taggart, who tells Michael's story. Louise is a tremendous, absolutely fantastic campaigner for health and safety matters and was voted recently as the most influential person in health and safety. So with no further ado, I'd like to say hello to Louise. Hello.
Hi Paul, hi Louise, thanks for inviting me on.
Hello, Louise.
Louise, some of our viewers may not have heard of Michael's story, especially those overseas. I wonder if you could just give us a brief outline of what that's about.
Yeah, I can. My brother Michael was 26 years old. He left the home he shared with his fiancée Lisa on the morning of Thursday, the 4th of August 2005. And he didn't make it home that evening. He was an electrician and he died in an entirely preventable electrical incident at work. He was called to an all-hands-on-deck job to get a sports store and a gym complex ready for a handover to a client by the next again day, or else some penalty clauses were going to kick in. So he was working with a colleague, Jim. They were to install a security system. They needed to connect a cable that was already in place within the ceiling void to one that they had pulled in themselves. Now Michael, he cut a cable, he threw it down to his colleague Jim, and it had a label on it that said not in use. As Jim stood up, he noticed that the ceiling, the false ceiling that Michael was up above, had risen somewhat. He shouted up, "Mikey, you're leaning on that wire." The ceiling rose some more, and then my brother came off the ladder. And so it subsequently transpired that when that ceiling rose, Michael was being electrocuted. Now that came about as a result of a number of failings. It came to pass that the voltage tester and the lock-off equipment that should have been on that site were not on that site. Electricians were using sticky tape, insulating tape over circuit breakers when they were turning a circuit on or off. Wiring plans weren't updated. There was a complete lack of effective supervision on site. The electrical supervisor was to tell the HSE when he was interviewed that he didn't regard it as part of his job to ensure that safe working practices were adhered to at all times, when I'm sorry, but that's a fundamentally important part of that sort of job. It was a whole series of failures came together and resulted in my wee brother's death. And it was more than 3 years later, after his death, before it came to trial, and his company was charged, as to were a managing director, an operations director, and a technical services manager. Mistakes were made by the prosecutor. So all three of those individuals, they were able to walk free from the dock before the case got to the jury. And that left the lawyer for the company in his summing up speech to the jury able to refer to his client as being the invisible man now sitting in the dock. So it was that invisible man that was found guilty of the failures that led to my wee brother's death. And it was that invisible man that was fined £300,000 in respect of my wee brother's death. And it provides my family with no justice and absolutely nothing in the way of comfort. So that's why I'm telling my brother's story in an effort to stop it happening to anyone else, to stop anyone else from having to go through what we've already been through as a family and what we are set to forever continue to go through.
I believe before you became one of the UK's foremost health and safety campaigners, you were an employment lawyer. Did that help you at all with this?
So I think it probably wouldn't be fair to say that I'm one of the foremost campaigners, because I don't think that's something you do individually. I think that's something that happens collectively. In terms of my time as an employment lawyer, I think it definitely helped in the immediate aftermath of Michael's death, because I knew that we needed legal help and I knew where we needed to get it from. So it helped in that respect. It's also helped because my role as a lawyer for the majority of my career was as what's called a professional support lawyer. So I was creating and delivering the training for clients. So that's helped in the sense of being able to put Michael's story into a format that is helpful and that lessons can be learned from. What has helped more, I think, on the campaign front is the fact that just a year after Michael's death, I found a campaign group. It was a newly formed campaign group, and it had a name that was designed to make folks sit up and take a wee bit of notice, because it's Families Against Corporate Killers, or FAC for short. So those families, joining together with them, they are all families who have lost loved ones in preventable workplace incidents. And I think the support and inspiration I've been able to draw from them is absolutely what has helped on the campaigning side of things. Without that, as I say, that collective effort, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. I wouldn't have the strength to do what I'm doing now. So it was also through Families Against Corporate Killers that I became aware of the wider hazards campaign, and Scottish hazards in particular. So that again was a sort of campaigning network. It'd been going for many, many years before I joined. And as part of what I've done since Michael's death is I took on a role when I left the employment law job. It was in part to tell Michael's story, but it was also to help Scottish Hazards transform from a campaigning network into a charity that would open a health and safety advice centre for workers. So I did that, and I'm now on the board of Scottish Hazards, helping them to provide preventative advice and support to workers on health and safety issues.
Louise, just listening to that, it's so tragic and emotive. What sort of reaction do you get from the audiences you present to?
The reaction from the audience is one that's sombre, that's contemplative. I think it's horrible to say, but I think in most cases they just want to get out of the room, so they've got time to think about what they've just heard. Then there's that reflective piece of looking at your own behaviour and thinking, what have I let go for a period of time? What maybe bad habits have slipped into place in my business, my organisation? And then there's the action that comes from that. So, I'll get feedback, like people saying things like, I walked into that room thinking that safety was an add-on to my job. I've walked back out knowing that it is my job. So that change in mindset from people is amazing to hear. And it's that sort of reaction that keeps me at it.
How is the COVID-19 situation affecting you in delivering your message?
I think it kind of, my diary got wiped out. It's been wiped out for sort of 3 months. So I feel like I fell into something of a state of, suspended animation. It felt like when lockdown was initially announced, I didn't really know what to do for the best. So while I've not been able to get out and tell Michael's story, I have been doing a bit of work for Scottish Hazards and trying to promote the helpline that we've got for COVID-19 to get advice to workers, preventative advice to workers.
Are you taking any special measures, Louise, so that you can continue with your work?
So I started to gradually, I think, come out of that state of suspended animation around about Workers' Memorial Day, which is the 28th of April. I knew that I had to continue telling Michael's story somehow, because I know that it prevents bad things from happening, and I want to create that sort of living legacy for Michael as well, and I couldn't have that all just stop. So I'm in the process of doing a couple of things. I'm creating an online course based around Michael's story, which will be for safety leaders, to inspire action from safety leaders. I'm going to use HSG 65 and tie it back to Michael's story. So it's sort of bringing that document to life using Michael's death as a means of doing that. I'm also in the process of setting myself up so that I can present from home, because I think it's going to be a long time before I'll be travelling any distance. I was meant to be going to Finland at the start of June. That's definitely not going to happen. I can't see me going anywhere hugely far. So what I want to do is be able to present from home. So I'm going to have a screen in my office that can show my PowerPoint, and I can hopefully present via Zoom, via Skype, whatever it might be, for those businesses who are carrying out the essential services just now.
I guess the pandemic has made everybody focus on life and protecting human life. And I believe there'll be a greater focus on health and safety matters in the future. Is that something you agree with, Louise?
What I would hope is that there is the correct focus on health and safety matters in the future, because what has been particularly galling for me is to see those who have previously so denigrated health and safety protections stand up before us and tell us all to stay safe. These are the individuals who have demolished health and safety protections over the years, who have claimed it's a burden on business, who have claimed it's health and safety gone mad. And I hope that they are going to think again about actually what is at the end of these health and safety protections and regulations. It's people. And it's been said by a professor at Stirling University just recently that unless you protect the workforce in a pandemic, you do not protect the public. So there needs to be such a focus on ensuring that workplaces are safe and are healthy places to be.
Do you think the well-publicised lack of PPE during this crisis worldwide, and the fact that it was not considered like an essential stock item until now, is an example of why campaigns like yours are vital to keep safety at the forefront of those in business and running organisations?
I think what this has shown is that fundamentally you need a plan, and there has been no plan for this. So whether it's planning for a pandemic, for an emergency situation, or whether it's the planning that simply goes into the job that you're doing, whether that's your sort of day-to-day job that you're doing. So in my brother's case, his company is an electrical contractor. They didn't have the right plan in place, and it was run-of-the-mill work that they were doing, a fit-out job that they were doing. They should have had in place a safe system of work. They should have provided the equipment that was needed to their employees. They should have had the supervision and the management there to ensure that there was a safe work environment, and individuals should have felt safe to speak up if they didn't feel that was all there. So I think that's what this has shown, that you need a plan, and it's a plan that you need to sort of fervently believe in and then vigorously pursue.
Louise, everybody at Energy Network events, all our exhibitors, all our delegates are all looking forward to hearing you speak. Is there any single message that you could give us today before we actually get to hear you speak fully in person?
I think that would probably be a twist on the message that we've all been hearing so regularly over the past wee while. So that message is stay home, stay safe. My twist on that message would be please keep your people safe so that they can go home, because my brother didn't get to go home that night, and he should have.
Are you okay, Louise? It must be so difficult for you. Thank you.
Louise, thank you very, very much. I want to take you to task over one thing. I said you were the foremost health and safety speaker, and you said you weren't, but I think you are, and I'm going to stick to that. And we can't wait to have you speaking at ENERGYxtra 2020, something we really look forward to. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Louise. It's been really lovely to speak to you, and I am really looking forward to actually meeting you in person, hopefully later in the year.
Thanks, Louise. It's been a real honour. See you very soon. Bye.